So I guess we'll just go right to the main event from this week with the PS5 and the Series X. Those launched. It was okay. So they both look like they were a pain to get, but I think the PS5 launch was like more mayhem than the Series X launch and the Series S. I don't know. Did everyone just pre-order it and then just show up at a store and pick it up, or just wait for it to show up on the doorstep? Was that the idea?
I picked mine up in store, and even picking it up in store, what was weird is the day when I went and picked it up Thursday morning, there was actually a crowd of people who were trying to buy it, and the employees kept having to say, we have absolutely no stock. Even if we had a stock, we wouldn't be allowed to sell it. Apparently Sony was telling people pre-order only for the first like time period. So I literally had to like walk through a group of people to pick up my pre-order and be like, all right, nobody mugged me. I'm just gonna walk out.
Yeah, that was it was weird to see people so concerned when they were walking out with a game console, but it was like that with the PS3. I remember because that was like a $600 system in 2006. People were like getting like escorts out to the parking lot at the time. What were you saying, OJ?
I was saying that it was easy for me to pick up at least the pickup option at Best Buy worked really well. I just went there, picked it up, and that was that. And you can even schedule a time if you wanted to, but I never did that. So that was easy, and it was no problem, and I didn't feel like I would. It was during the day though; it wasn't nighttime, so everything was good. In terms of like the PlayStation, I had both of those delivered to me, so I was literally like waiting by my door, like just waiting for it because I didn't want to get that stolen at all. Like, that was the thing. Like for me, I was like waiting because like I had my PS5 and I had my wife's PS5. Stupid Target, their app is trash. Like their app is horrible. Their tracking is horrible. Like they don't even update it. They said it's in transit. It's in transit. It was delivered, and I looked at the app, and it was still saying that it was in transit. I'm like, dude, this is just garbage. So I was just literally like almost like waiting by the door for each one of them, and the guy from Amazon didn't even ring the doorbell.
What?
No, they showed up. They showed up in like brown boxes, though, right? They weren't just like the system themselves out. Okay, good.
Yeah, they both showed up in brown boxes. The box that the Amazon one came in, it was a like reused box, which is fine. The Target box was a lot nicer, but yeah, I just had to make sure. I mean, I got a really like good security system, and like I would have been able to see anybody that came in. Like I was having alerts go to my phone, anybody that steps in my driveway. But still, like I didn't want to have to deal with it, you know, like because I did promise my wife that I'd get her a PS5. So, and I just wanted to make sure that we both got ours and everything. So, but that was kind of stressful, but I got both of them, so it was good.
Dude, this was the weirdest launch because no one could go to a store and just wait in line. Everyone had to like try to order online and then hope they could do in-store pickup.
It's honestly the main reason scalpers are as prevalent and insane as they are right now is because there's no other option.
Yeah, PS5's like $1,500 on eBay right now.
It's not even scalpers though, but like bot technology, like the technology from last gen in terms of like to this gen is crazy.
Well,
like,
the thing is that technology was there. It just wasn't as useful to use because, I mean, if you bought it from the Best Buy online website, they still had stores with the boxes that you had to go into and get anyway. So like it didn't matter because you weren't going to get as much as a scalper, but now you will get a lot.
You had to prove you wanted it back in the day because you had to stand in line for like 24 hours.
I did the midnight launch for the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, and the PlayStation 4. I did the midnight launch for all of those. And I remember getting out there like 3 hours before. For the Xbox 360 launch, we actually brought a TV out and plugged it into a car battery converter thing. We're playing Halo 1 in the parking lot waiting for the 360.
I remember we did it for the Wii and the PS3 because I think those came out on the same day or right around that same day.
It was right, yeah, same.
Because people were waiting in the line at the same time for both. I remember that around then, and like because it was in Walmart, and eventually they gave everyone tickets like 5 hours before, but people were still not leaving their spot in line because of how hard it was to get the Wii at the time, like trying to figure it out.
Dude, GameStop was crazy because we had to get there early, and like it was. I remember I got it from the mall, and they told us beforehand, they're like, hey, we're only gonna have 12 units of the Wii at the GameStop that I went to. I was like, damn. So I had to get there just to pre-order it first and foremost. To pre-order it, I was there like at 3 a.m. Like I was there so early just so I can get it because I really wanted one, you know, when it first came out. So yeah, that's what you had to do back then. But now it's just like obviously online, you know.
My camera keeps freezing.
Okay, real topic. We're not talking about pre-orders. Everybody, what did y'all think about Miles Morales? I did a full master file now. I've done every side quest. I got every collectible. I beat the main game. Everybody talk about Miles Morales. I watched your video, RGT, and I loved it because I could tell it was really scripted, and I could see how impressed you were by it. But I don't know. I'm so in love with that game still.
I thought it was fantastic, and I'm still, even though I've already beaten the story mode, I'm still going back and doing all of the side missions and stuff. A lot of people seem to be, I meant to say this in my video, but I didn't. A lot of people seem to be kind of hung up on the story length of the game, and I get that, but it's kind of interesting because last night I was watching 8-Bit Eric play the original Spider-Man on his PlayStation 5. And when you watch someone play that game, you sort of realize something. There's a lot of padding in that game. You know, like the Mary Jane stuff, like you can do without that. You could just do that over
the story
a
itself
conversation.
is very short.
The whole, the radio frequency thing, which was like really difficult for me. Like that's sort of a padding thing. I feel like Miles Morales, it's just bam, it's just bam, action, bam, bam, bam. Okay, do this, bam. There's a one period of downtime where he's like chilling with his family, but that helps bring in the backstory of the character because let's be realistic. To most people, when you think of Spider-Man, you probably think of Peter Parker. At least, I'm not a huge Spider-Man or comic book guy or anything like that. So I would always think of Peter Parker. I didn't know shit about Miles Morales until this game. Yeah, like this was all new information. I knew he existed. I knew he was a Spider-Man, character, but I didn't know anything about him as a person. And I just thought the game's story was brilliant because when you look at I'm probably gonna get a bad sound clip out of this, but you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna go for it. When you look at Spider-Man, all right, what was the first Spider-Man comic? It was like 1960 something, early 60s, right? The Peter Parker character was a character that resembled someone who lived in New York at that time, but the Peter Parker character is almost kind of a bit like too traditional, like just standard white dude, whereas the Miles Morales character is actually indicative more so of a character that would be living in New York City, for the past 20-30 years. If you've ever been to New York City, there's people of all age, races, and creeds all around you the second you step out of somewhere. So I actually like that about the character because it feels more realistic than Peter Parker living in New York City does to me.
Yeah, they brought in kind of the young mindset too, because you have like the app that people are like sending in like requests on and all of this, and your one friend is all about social media, and that wouldn't have made sense back then at the time, right?
I got a question for RGT. So let me ask you a question, RGT. Did you have the swagger of a black team?
I love that quote.
Did it give you goosebumps? Let me just ask you a question.
Realistically, I feel like I had that in high school, so it wasn't necessarily a new experience for me, but it was a familiar experience for me.
It was like going back home.
You felt like Malibu's Most Wanted in high school. That's what.
No, because I was actually like I had a brain. Like Malibu's Most Wanted, like he was trying to fit in. It was just my area and my circumstances of the people I rolled with. It was
I'm just messing with you. Because of that picture that you posted. Remember that picture? And I put that.
Oh, I know.
Well, I feel like you're so right, RGT, and I like that you brought that up because like how Harlem is such a big character in that game. Like I like how you're proving yourself to Harlem. Like they've all been being protected by Spider-Man for years. Like everybody knows Spider-Man, everybody accepts Spider-Man. So all of a sudden this kid shows up like, hey, I have powers too. And they're like, okay, cool, you're Harlem Spider-Man. That's cool too, I guess. Like learning the respect of the people. Man, it's so cool. And just all the moments where you get to just talk to people on the street, the person who puts in a request just to get a selfie with you and stuff, and helping that deaf girl. I don't know.
They did a good job. They did a good job making Miles seem like a kid who just got powers too. All of a sudden,
literally,
like the way he's acting and all of this, he acts like a guy, like a kid in high school. Jumping around, laughing, and like doing tricks and all these things. And you could tell they still throw in those stumbles when he tries to land on a beam and he just almost falls off, kind of things. So
I was gonna say, I love that animation. Yeah,
they still play into the idea of him still being kind of new to the idea of being Spider-Man.
If you have load screens turned on, because like if you're playing on a PS5, for those who have not tried it yet, fast traveling is very instantaneous. But if you choose to have the load screens on while you're in the train, he'll do different stuff. And my favorite one is he looks at everybody and everyone's like mildly entertained, like, "Oh, there's the new Spider-Man," and he does a backflip. It goes like this, and everyone's like, "Okay," like does it's like to him it's the coolest thing, and everyone else is like, "Yeah, Spider-Man's doing flips for years, bud."
The PS5 on the PS5, it is pretty impressive how fast you can get into the game from the menu. Like, I mean, from your PlayStation 5 UI, going from that, into Miles Morales is super fast. Like,
Yes,
especially if you just kind of left it like kind of in the background and you went into rest mode or something, you turn it on.
I can do
it's like
that
2
while
seconds.
we're sitting here. Yeah, I just realized I can do it while
Dude,
we're doing
it's like 2 seconds if you still had it in the background, like after you had it in rest mode. It is very fast. So yes, it is good to see that at least.
Also,
Like, very pick 'em and play.
I want to say one thing. If you're sitting there watching videos of Miles Morales on YouTube, you get a good idea of the game. But a lot of people I've been seeing people say, "Oh, it looks just like Spider-Man on the PS4 did." It doesn't. It doesn't. There's a lot more going on. There's some absolutely insanely gorgeous lighting and reflections in the game that are just absolutely stunning. Like, to play the game and experience it in your house on your television is a very different experience than you see on YouTube. And I noticed something that a lot of people don't seem to pick up on, but the population density is a lot deeper in Miles Morales than it is on
I was thinking
Spider-Man.
that exact thing. Yep.
Because once again, I was watching Eric play Spider-Man on his PS5 last night, the original game, and I'm looking like, where the hell are all the people on the ground? And I actually looked at someone playing Miles Morales on the PlayStation 4. I watched some gameplay of it, and it was the same thing. It was very limited in the amount of people that were, congregating around in certain areas. Whereas, on this, it's just like it's crazy. It's like, actual New York.
I'm literally sitting here right now. There's 75 people on the sidewalk right here in front of me. Like, this is crazy.
The best part is, though, it has a 60 frames per second mode.
You know what's funny? I played the high fidelity mode, and I was like, I want my ray tracing.
Turn on that frame rate mode once, just see what you think. It is really smooth.
Oh god.
And it is doing a lot. Like,
I want the ray. Everyone, no, fuck off. Everyone was like, ray tracing's the biggest thing in video games.
Who said that? Not me.
Everyone.
No.
Evan.
Some damn lights.
Evan.
What?
Shiny reflections over 60 frames? No, bro. I didn't say that.
I personally don't think in a game like Spider-Man, like with how fast it is and how much reaction timing can go into those fights, for me, I'm like, yeah, give me the frame rate. And the game still looks like really good in 60 frame mode. Just doesn't have the ray tracing and all that stuff. I just think really go, dude, turn it on. I'm telling you, the overall fluidness of it, I think, just outweighs the idea of ray tracing for
does it actually speed up
the
feel of the combat? Because I've watched people play it, and the combat does still look like it's kind of slowed down to match the chaos of it, but having Spider-Man's reflexes. So like, you kind of see everything a little slower. Like, the combat just feels like less movement, I guess.
They have moments where they give you, like, it depends, because you can upgrade things so that your window of like perfect dodge, for example, is extended. And I feel like that kind of goes into it where it's kind of slows down a little bit for you to help you out, but it also depends on the difficulty. Like, I decided to just put it on the hardest difficulty for this because I thought Spider-Man on the PS4 was too easy when I played through it. So I was like, let me just try to put this on the hardest mode at the time, and it doesn't seem as slow as I remember it being on the PS4 for the original one. But
the speed is good. That was my one gripe. I did a review of it and I loved everything about it, but my one gripe is still that I feel like Spider-Man is too strong, especially like Miles Morales is objectively even stronger than Peter Parker.
Yes.
He can freaking shoot lightning everywhere and turn invisible. Like, the stealth missions are a joke. I think that they should have done more to, like, I don't know.
It is really funny. It's like, all right, now we got to stealth around. He's like, oh, I can just turn invisible. It's like, well, all right, okay, I guess.
I will say though, as someone who hates stealth, and like
I've watched you hate stealth multiple times today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stealth
like,
is a nice
you're going
guy. Come on.
all the big dudes with like just like negating your powers and like the shields and everything. No, it's a lot of fun. It is a good challenge, but I think if you do the stealth, like if you just like stealth, it is going to be like substantially easier if you can just pick them off one by one.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, it's well, actually, Click, you were playing on the PS4 right now, right?
I am playing on PS4 right now.
What do you think about on the PS4?
I mean, it runs, it looks great. Like, I don't have any complaints about it. I really like all the new power-ups and stuff like that you can have with him. It's just really fun, and it's just man, just really satisfying. Like, going in between like the fast punching and sliding between their legs and everything, and then it goes into like the perfect dodge, slow down. But then also when you do a finisher move, it just slows down and like the animation goes. And now you also have the venom attack. So like, you punch someone, or when you like unlock the dash or the jump, it's just it's a fantastic game, dude. It's so much fun, and a lot of people have been debating. I saw people in chat like, should I buy it for PS4? Honestly, if you're not planning on getting a PS5 for a while, pick it up now. It's gonna be fun, and especially if you want to like complete it, like go for it.
Is there a performance mode on PS4?
I actually did not look into it. I haven't really ran into any issues though. I think I did have one bug today. I like died while falling. Like I got hit and my body flew off a building and it just like sat there. So I had to like restart the game. But that's the only issue I've really had.
I fell through the world once. I put it on Twitter. I
saw that.
And I tried to quick grab a ledge and I shot through the ground and I was underneath the city as I was swinging under the streets.
It was pretty.
Like, yeah, it looks cool until I eventually dive bombed to death.
The only glitch I had was in that part where you're going to your mother's little event
campaign?
that she's having. Yeah, the campaign meeting. I walked up to Gloria and I tried to talk to her because it said I could talk to her, and it just sat there and it never initiated the sequence. And I was like, can I get out of this? And I couldn't.
Yeah, I think there also was an audio bug too. Like when you meet like a character, you know, like a couple hours in, it was an audio bug. So like he just wasn't like his voice just wasn't loading in. So of course I had to narrate it.
I think Miles Morales is worth the pickup. Yes.
No question. No question.
Yep. So we played Miles Morales. What's everyone think about the PS5 in general though now?
I'm extremely impressed.
Okay.
You know what? I think the biggest takeaway that I have is that Microsoft played it very safe and Sony kind of didn't.
I think we can go by even just the console design and say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which for the record, I think the PlayStation 5 is ugly as shit. Wait till
Yeah, I like the look
Samuel.
of the Xbox better.
He's right here. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, Sam.
I have a video coming out tomorrow where I rag pretty hard on the design.
Oh, that'll be fun. All right. I'm there for that.
You know, I personally, you know, I got both systems too, and I got a video I'll be doing like where I kind of summarize everything. I'll be up tomorrow. I think it should be done if I can get it done, but it should be up soon. Just my thoughts on it. But I think the most impressive thing is like the speed of the system. It's just super fast when getting in and getting out of stuff. PlayStation, and to your point, Sean, it creates a more unique and organic experience. It actually feels like it's different. Xbox went with the same UI, right? They went with the same everything, so it didn't feel like. And I know it might be semantics or whatever, but it didn't feel like a new experience. Yes, the graphics are better. Yes, there's the quick resume. There are some great things. But the uniqueness of the PS5, like the Astro's Playroom, and being able like the controller and having like the advanced HD rumble with it's like even better HD rumble with haptic feedback and the triggers and all that stuff. They kind of even like took it a little bit further. Like all that stuff creates a really unique experience. The UI is the same, but they changed up. Like you can tell that it's not the exact same. The PSN store being integrated, like everything just feels so much like they really said we're gonna make something new, whereas like, you know, Microsoft kind of just said, hey, we're just gonna use like if it's not broke, which is fine. Xbox, like I said, is still great, but I do think that like PlayStation, the system definitely played it a little bit more, you know.
I will say, if it wasn't for that, like that DualSense controller is super impressive. Like if it wasn't for that controller, I would say that this system, like if we just got this system and they had a regular controller like a DualShock 5 or something, I would be like, you know, this is still pretty cool, but it still doesn't really feel like this big next gen jump. And I think the controller just like puts it over the edge for that, like just puts it over the top, because like I feel like I could talk for an entire video just about that DualSense controller with everything they're doing in it.
I almost feel, and people probably slam me for this, but I almost feel like this is like the real 8th gen, what they were promising, what it would be, you know, like with frame rates and with everything, because like that's what they were saying beforehand. Yes, we have resolutions, but they were always like, oh yeah, everybody said 60 frames per second across the board, right? It's always going to be 60. It's always going to be this, and it didn't turn out anything like that, right? They always talked about how in-depth and detailed and worlds were going to be, and a lot of games weren't like that. It almost felt like they broke so many promises with the 8th gen, but this time, like, you're actually seeing all the population, like you talked about in Spider-Man. You're seeing 60 frames across the board for many games. If it's not native, like, they have performance modes, right? So that's the cool thing, that I think that this is almost like, it's like, okay, this is kind of like what they promised that we were going to get in 2013, right? Like, and now we actually got that with all the performance and the really cool stuff, you know, and the fast loading times and like everything like that. So, I mean, I think that's what I like about, you know, this gen,
So,
both of this.